Reversed World Scene 4. Dave was watching TV when Sarah sat Margaret next to him. On the TV was Teletubbies, which Margaret hated when she wasn't wearing diapers. Dave were fascinated with the show, especially with the cute yellow one. "Okay, I'm going to do some reports, so don't make such a fuss, okay?" She pinched their cheeks as she went to the table. Margaret snuggled up next to Dave as they watched the Teletubbies play on the bright green fields. Once the show is finished, a commercial came on. It showed a grown man and woman on the floor of their nursery. Then a young girl entered the room as she cuddled her parents, who needs a diaper change. She cooed, the father and mother babbled as they were laid down. Then the girl turned to the screen. "When my mummy and daddy needs to be changed, I trust Huggies diapers." She removed their diapers as she wiped their asses. She pull a big puffy diaper out of a package. It's 100% absorbent and keeps their big tushies dry. It cut to the parents enjoying their new puffy diapers. Then it fade out showing the logo and the location of the diapers. Margaret turned off the TV, getting frustrated with her situation. Dave was going to complain but decided to cheer her up. He grabbed a baby blanket and hid his face. "Hey Maggie." She turned and looked at him, a peekaboo. He popped his face over it, then hid it again, peekaboo. He popped it under it, then back behind it. "Where's Maggie?" Margaret smiled. He did this with Sarah. Dave continued to do it, so she just went with it. Once his face were covered, Margaret playfully looked around. "Where's Davy?" She looked around while Dave giggled. Margaret looked under the toy rabbit. Not there either. Where could he be? She then looked at the blanket. She playfully about to take it when Dave poked his head out. "Peekaboo. There he is," giggled Margaret, clapping at his achievement. "You're a little fun bug, ain't you?" She tickled him as Dave began to laugh. "Stop it," he said as he crawled away with Margaret following. "But I wanna tickle," she called out. "I'm gonna tickle you." She crawled after him around the room. Sarah was writing down in her notebook when her parents were crawling past her. She sighed, then looked at the time. "Guess I have to get dinner ready." She got up and she removed her notebooks. Dave and Margaret were behind the couch tickling each other when she walked up to them and checked their diapers. "Well, Daddy, guess I need to change your stinky diaper," she covered as he led Dave towards the nursery. Margaret laid back on the couch as she wondered about her life. "I never had that much fun before." She smiled as she wiggled her toes, but this could be her chance. She got up and quietly crept towards her daughter's room. Inside, she spotted her keys on the desk. Bingo! She quickly grabbed the keys and carefully removed the key to the basement. Once it's off, she put the keys back. "Now I gotta hide this." She looked at the basement key, so Sarah doesn't take it off me. She ran back to the living room and got on her knees. She grabbed a Barbie doll and slid the key in the back of her shirt. "Perfect," she grinned. "Now later tonight I could find the box and get out here." She hears footsteps as she put the Barbie in the dollhouse and quickly started playing with a toy cow and chicken. "Now we're all clean. How about we get you guys some dinner?" said Sarah as she led Dave past Margaret and into the kitchen. Then she walked back in and stood her up. "It's time for nums nums." She playfully patted Margaret's belly as she led her into the kitchen, to an empty high chair next to Dave in his high chair. Dave have a blue bib tied around his neck as he plays with his toy truck. Sarah tied a pink one around Margaret as she was locked in. Then she grabbed a plate filled with bite-sized chewy meat and put each on their table while she sits at the table eating her grown-up steak. Dave started to grab a piece and ate it, chewing it happily as he grabbed another. Margaret looked at her babyish food as she grabbed a piece and put it in her mouth. Then Dave threw a piece at her cheek. "Hey!" she scolded as Dave threw another one. "Stop it." But Dave laughed as he stuck his tongue out. Margaret growled as she threw a piece and hit him on the chin. Soon Sarah noticed them throwing food and kicking each other. Hey, stop." She spilt them apart. "Dad, you need to stop picking on her at dinner." "But it's fun," argued Dave. Margaret blew a raspberry as Sarah shoved a bottle of milk in her mouth. Margaret started to suckle as Sarah held another one to Dave's mouth as he started to suckle. Margaret closed her eyes as her belly filled up with the delicious juicy milk. My good. This feels so right. She grabbed the bottle with both hands as Sarah let go. Margaret and Dave drank their milk as Sarah finished up her dinner, then she removed the bottles, their bibs, and let them down onto their knees so she could drape them over her shoulders. There, she cooed as she pat their big bare backs. Dave and Margaret both let out big burps, with Margaret spitting up some on her shoulder. Mum. She sighed as she rubbed their backs. This is my favorite shirt, Margaret giggled as her and Dave were sat on the ground, tummies filled with milk. Sarah then stood them up and led each of them by the hand as they walked out of the kitchen towards the bathroom. Once inside, they sat on the soft mat as Sarah filled up the tub. Margaret was sucking her thumb as Dave started to poke her boobies. Once the tub is half full, Sarah took their diapers off and put them in the bathtub. Sarah sighed as she tried to shampoo their hairs. Margaret played with Dave while Sarah soaped them and rinsed them. What was in that milk? I feel so giddy. Dave started to splash her, so she decided to splash back, which unfortunately got Sarah wet. Okay, I see how it is, said Sarah as she splashed them back. Soon they were in a splashing war as Sarah is now completely soaked. She then drained the water as the tub is now empty. She dried off in a towel, then got Margaret out first. All nice and fresh, so try not to have any accidents, she said as she dried her. Margaret shook her head as she was wrapped in the towel. Fine, go wait in the nursery while I get Dad, okay? She patted her, but as Margaret walked out, Margaret sat on the change table waiting for Sarah to put her in a diaper. I feel like I'm forgetting something, she frowned, then she sat up. What am I doing? I shouldn't be here waiting to be diapered by my daughter. I should be looking for this box and fixing this. She was about to stand up when Sarah walked in. Margaret expected Dave to follow, but he didn't enter. Where's Dave? She asked. In the living room, Mum, she said. I got a surprise for you. She went in the closet and pulled out a black velvet box. Sarah pulled out a black velvet onesie, with red frill and a flap on the top. Margaret could imagine herself wearing this as Sarah laid her down. Soon she was in a fresh diaper and wearing the lingerie onesie. There you go. Cooed Sarah, Daddy's going to love it. Margaret giggled as she twirled. Then Sarah went and get Dave, who wore just his diaper, as he entered the room. Margaret sat in the crib with her finger to her mouth. Sarah put Dave in the crib as she pulled up the bars and locked it. Then left the room as she closed the door, leaving them with just the nightlight and lullabies. Sarah laid in bed as she could hear the sounds from her bedroom. This is very awkward, she sighed as she hears the adult monitor. She turned it off and tried to go to sleep.